Hello, everybody. This is MoveEasy Yoga with Via, and Kathy's there on the floor, our student model. Today is November 19th, 2020, or whatever day it is for you if you're watching this online on replay. We're going to do, I have two things to say. One, we're going to focus on things that address lower back pain, movements that address lower back pain. And you'll notice that there's a lot of the movements we do regularly in this class do that. The other thing I want to say is that from starting now, for I don't know how long, I'm dropping my classes to two, one on Wednesday and one on Saturday. Both of them still the same time, 9:30 Pacific time AM and 11:30 Central time. And so that's at least until I'm out of the woods on my arm. Okay, and we're slowing down. So there's lots of people who can't come today who actually told me they can't come. I knew this was going to be a small class. Let's get started in a regular fashion, just lying on your back. Lying on your back, noticing the breath you came in with. Oops, oh, the cat likes to shoot. Oh. Oh, sorry. Feeling the floor supporting you. Let's spend a few minutes paying attention to the pituitary gland, which is just behind the center of the eye, between the eyeball sockets and down a little bit. Go back and down. Just paying attention to that. If you want to relax and it's hard for you to do that, and all you can do is think, this is a good place to go, a good place to visit, to quiet the mind. Finish up and bring your hands behind your head for vagus nerve reset. You can stack your hands one on top of the other, or you can interlace your fingers. Without moving anything but your eyeballs, shift your eyeballs to the right and wait for an involuntary swallow, gulp, yawn, or sigh. And come on back to center. Bring the eyeballs back to center, and then shift the eyeballs to the left and wait for an involuntary swallow, yawn, gulp, or sigh. Come on back. Repeat this 2 more times. Right, left, right, left. And finish up. Keep your hands where they are and start to do some head ramping, about 4 or 5 head ramps, pressing the occipital ridge into the hands, into the floor. Your skull slides up along the mat away from your shoulders. If your experience is anything like mine, you actually get a few adjustments along the cervical spine. And then just hold for a couple breaths and then repeat. Release it and repeat it. Two more. Finish up. Please grab a strap. I forgot to mention this to you. Strap, a yoga strap, and put it around your torso, just underneath your breasts, at your rib cage. Yep. You're gonna tie it or loop it.
Oh.
So it's just going to give you some guidance for breath work. The breath work we're going to do. So if you have you can buckle it or cinch it. If you have U loops. I'm calling this a breathing belt. I'd actually like this. I got this idea from I have a belt, a Velcro belt that cinches my arm to my torso. And what I've been finding is this is a really good breathing tool for doing what's called resistance breathing. So you're going to use a strap. If you had 2 straps, you could use 2 straps. But cinch it up, and it might be a little higher than that, Kathy. Try to make it a little higher than that. So it's, yeah, there. So make sure it's cinched because it's supposed to provide you some resistance with your breath. And then just go ahead and do an ordinary rib cage breath. You can put your hands actually below the strap at the bottom of your rib cage, like we usually do for rib cage breathing. But now you're going to do rib cage breathing with resistance. So just inhaling, and you should feel and just go as far as you can, deep as you can. And then release. We're going to do 5 more of these. Make sure the breath fills the lungs, expands front to back and side to side, into the strap, the breathing strap. COVID is a respiratory illness. It's good to have strong lungs and diaphragm to prevent or even resist the disease if you get it. Do you have to wait? No, you can do it right here in class. Do one more. And go ahead and remove the strap. We're going to do a hypopressive breath. This is core work. Any core work we do or you do helps with the lower back, because the problem with the lower back is that the lower back, the lumbar spine, starts taking over all the jobs, all the places in the body that aren't doing their job. So if the core is not strong, the lumbar takes over the job, and then the lower back becomes involved, and that's when you get lower back pain. So we're going to just do the basic one where remember your heels are down the floor, your toes are up, your arms are overhead like you're hugging a tree at your armpits, above your armpits. Flip the fingers. Add some shoulder work by pressing the hands into the ceiling, towards the ceiling, and the scapula towards the floor. I'm going to lead you in 3 breaths. 3 complete breaths, and then we're going to hold the breath out for 14 counts. So go ahead and inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Last exhale. Hold your breath out. No breath. Oh, okay. I think that's quiet now. Oops. Let's start over again. 3 breaths. The 3 breaths are good anyway. The ones you did. Not lost. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath, inhale. Exhale. All the way out. I'm going to count to 10. Hold your breath out. No breath. 1, 2, 3. Stop early if you need to. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Inhale and exhale. Bring your arms down beside your side. Extend your legs. Cross your right ankle over your left. Bring your arms back up over your chest and armpits. Stack them so the left hand is on top. Now bring your arms overhead by your ears. We're going to do the same thing. Hypopressive breath and core work. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale all the way out. No breath. Hold your breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. That's enough. Inhale, exhale, come out of it, switch sides. Left ankle over right. Bring your arms up above your chest. Stack your fingers, your hands, bring them overhead. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, all the way out. No breath. Hold your breath out. I'm going to count to 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And inhale and exhale and come out of this. And everyone find a chair or a block or something. We're going to do what's called static back. That's one of the things it's called. It's called so restorative supine pose. There's some other names it's called, but this is one of the first things. If people can hardly move because they have lower back pain, then I have them do this. This is not a moving pose. This is static. Lie on your back, bend your knees and put your knees up on a hammock or a chair, a hassock or a chair, or a box, philo box, or your couch. The idea is to have the bend of the knee fit snug on the chair. So you're lying down on the floor, Kathy.
Okay.
Supine, supine, static, back. We're going to time this for 7 minutes, just so you can see how available and useful and beneficial this is. So I wish it doesn't look too bad. I might put a mat, a yoga mat under your calves, Kathy, to make so that they'd be up just a little bit. A yoga mat or a blanket. So the idea is to have them at a 90-degree angle.
Okay.
Maybe this, make it a little higher. So that's a little better, I think. The hips are also 90 degrees. Your arms can be just resting at your side, palms up or down. I like palms up. It opens up the chest. We're going to just stay here for 7 minutes. I've been told that you could stay here for an hour and benefit. And there are a lot of physical benefits, physical and emotional, mental benefits. But one of them is that the psoas releases, the lower back releases. Just breathing. If this was uncomfortable for you, you could put a small rolled up hand towel under your back at your waist, or you could put a mobility strip. If you have a low back issue that doesn't allow you to get on the floor, you could do this in your bed, but you'd have to find something to make your knees take this shape. You'd have to find a box or something, bucket. So remember, the knees are at a 90-degree angle, and so are the hips. We have about a minute and a half left. So now just slide yourself away from the box or the chair, because I want you to stay supine, or you can, somehow, or you can kick it aside, do something so that your feet are on the floor, knees still bent. So keep your knees bent. I want you to just hug your right knee to your chest and then your left. And just knowing that anytime that you hug your knees, you're going to release the lower back. Hug your knees one at a time, hug both of them. Just know, and we're already rocking from side to side. This is something we do at end of class. But this is one of the ways to release lower back. And then when you're finished with that, go ahead and bring your feet back to the floor. We're gonna work on the 6 directions of motion of the pelvis. The pelvis moves in 6 directions, and we can find those directions. And one of the things that, the ways this helps the lower back is that it teaches your body to move the lower back and the pelvis separately, and the pelvis and the legs separately. So just know, a lot of people don't know that you can and should be moving those body parts, isolating them and moving them. So this is what these 6 moves help with. It helps to isolate the pelvis, the pelvic movement. Just lying on your back, and the first movement, and let's talk about the pubic bone going forward between your legs. And that is an anterior pelvic tilt. And then it goes backwards towards your face. So you're rocking one direction and then the other. So don't lift your hips up. It's just a rocking movement, but tilting one direction and tilting another. In between is neutral. A lot of people spend a lot of time in either an anterior tilt or a pelvic posterior tilt. And this actually can affect your posture and your lower back health. So try not to move anything else but the pelvis. Remember, this moves without moving the spine and without moving the legs. So these are the first two directions of the pelvis. Think of the pelvis. It has two parts on either side of the sacrum, moving back and forth. And then stop that. And the next one are hip hikes. So you might want to put your thumb on the top of the pelvis by your waist on the side, and then hike that bony piece up the side of the pelvis, hike it up towards your armpit. And obviously it's going to drop on the other side. And then switch. So you're alternating sides. First, the right hip hikes, right side of the hip hikes, right side of the pelvis, and then the left side of the pelvis. Try to keep it even. All of these pairs, these three pairs, are independent movements. Try not to get into a tilt while you're doing a hike. If that makes any sense. Looks good. And then the last one is a rotation. So you might want to put your hands on the bony point in front of your pelvis on both sides. And you're going to drop one side of the pelvis to the floor, and then the other side lifts, and then drop the other side. Alternating sides, making sure this isn't a hip hike. This is just a drop, straight drop, side drop. Side drop. Side drop. If you are lying in bed, if you can't move, Caitlin, if she were here, she said she might say hi. She's she had an accident one Sunday and hurt her hamstring. I told her she could, but this one she could do. She could be lying in bed and doing this movement and benefiting from it. And just think of what's happening, what is moving, and try to isolate it from the spine. Don't use the legs, don't use the torso, don't use the spine, just a movement of the hips. I mean, of the pelvis. I think it's actually confusing for me to say this area is hips, although a lot of people do, which may be part of the problem, vocabulary. Come on back, finish up. Stay where you are. We're just going to do leg lifts. It's a simple movement of the hip, of the femur, the head of the femur at the hip socket. You're just going to come up and then come down. And remember, the movement is happening at the hip, not the knee. I'd stay on one side, Kathy. Just do 5 on one side, and then we'll do 5 on the other. Think of what's happening. Don't move the pelvis. Don't move the spine. Just move the head of the femur where it fits into the socket that's in the pelvis. So try to think of this as a movement that does not involve the pelvis. And do 5 on one side and then 5 on the other. When you've finished, grab your strap. We're going to do leg stretch 1 and 2. So this opens the hips. Anytime you can open your hips, you're going to release the lower back, the tightness in the lower back. This also is a hamstring stretch. This is also for osteoporosis, and we're going to time it as if we want to build new bones. Hold on, let me change the timer here. There. Okay, we're going to get a bonus, but the leg straight up to the ceiling. The knee could be bent a little soft if you want. You can pull on the strap and bring your foot a little closer to your face. But you want to make sure that the pelvis is not lifting or tilting. So that's a good reference is to the exercise we just did. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. Try to stay in neutral with your pelvis. And then go ahead and put your strap in both straps in one hand and take your leg out to the right. And keep the pelvis neutral. Keep both sides of the pelvis in neutral. So Parvin said she had a conflict today. She can't come. Suzanne said she couldn't come. There are a number of people who called me and said that, or texted me and said they weren't coming today. Oh, Diana said she didn't think she could come. She had a doctor's call or something. Okay, so switch sides, everybody. Leg stretch 1 on the left. Now this you could do on your bed. Although if Caitlin were in the class, I had told her she could come and take the class and stay in bed. I wouldn't have her do this because of her, well, not at least not on the left where her hamstring is torn. That would probably not be a good idea. But it's good to remember, even when you're hurt, even when I have a fractured shoulder, there are things I can do and should do to keep myself moving. I've been doing a lot of neck exercises, even lying down in bed, doing some neck exercises on the therapy balls. Because this really screws up my neck and shoulders, this sling. Go ahead and do leg stretch 2. And if you want to, you can bring your strap a little close, your foot in your strap a little closer to your ear. See what that does. And remember, you're going to try to keep your hips or your pelvis stable and neutral. I can see the problem, the vocabulary problem now, in my own vocabulary. No wonder people don't know that there's the pelvis and the spine, and then the femur, which really is probably the hip joint, could be called the hip joint. Okay, now you're going to have one therapy ball, a large alpha ball or a plus ball, and put it underneath underneath the middle of the right glute.
I'll say that one more time.
You're lying on your back. You're going to put this ball in the middle of your buttocks.
Oh.
Right buttocks. And you're going to just roll up and down. So you probably use your feet or your elbows. It could be lifted up a little bit. Just find a way to roll up and down. Now, one of the things that can happen that can affect the lower back is that the glutes can get tight. So this is one of the ways to release that. So up and down and then side to side. You can make little circles if you want. And then go ahead and switch the ball to the other buttocks. There are lots of different ways you can release the lower back with your therapy balls. We're at the glutes, but you could be at the sacrum, which is a little higher with both balls. I would use both balls if I'm going to be releasing the sacrum. You may be releasing the piriformis, or you can directly focus on the piriformis, which is a little higher up. It's when I say put it in the center of the glutes, it's probably below the piriformis, but the piriformis is another thing that can get tight and need to be released. And finish that. And before we come up to floor seated, I do want to say, let's do this, because this is another thing you can do, seated or lying down, is squeeze your glute. So sometimes we have nothing in the glutes. No, it's not tight, they're atrophied. They don't activate. So squeeze one glute, one side of the glute, one buttocks, just to make it simple, one buttock, one butt cheek, and then the other butt cheek. You can do both at once, but I think I like doing alternating. So this is another way to help. There are so many different ways that you can tweak here, tweak there, move here, move there, squeeze there, lift here, and eventually work your way out of lower back pain. After you've done, well, let's do 2 more sets. Right, left, right, left. Then come up to floor seated. We're going to do a side bend and a spine twist. Timed. Side bend actually works on the QL to strengthen or release or both. And that the QL, if the QL is messed up, this affects the lower back. So find your best floor seated position and take your right arm out to the right. I will not be doing this. And open over, the other arm up and over. I'm going to start timing. Halfway through, I'm going to ask you to move, make a small adjustment, which actually takes you out of your QL. But just know that this side bending, keep your pelvis, both sides of your pelvis on the floor. Bring your left elbow, top elbow forward a little bit. Find another stretch. Bring your elbow up, bring your torso up. Let's do the other side. Lift arms, slide, cross legs, switch legs. You all know this one. So just slide your arm along the mat. Bring your top arm up and over. Keep your pelvis even on the floor. See if you can find that. That might be easier to find since we did those 6 degrees directions of movement on the pelvis. Go ahead and bring your elbow forward, your top elbow forward. Just find another stretch. It's more farther behind the armpit. Okay, come on up. Elbow, now torso, and then let's do the spine twist. So go ahead and start on the right. So take your left hand and put it on your right knee. Take your right arm behind you with your fingers in a spider. Find your spine twist. So don't involve the lumbar. You're just twisting. The pelvis is still, and then the thoracic spine rotates to the side. While you're here, if you'd like, your choice, you can slide the rib cage from side to side to release the upper back. When your upper back and middle back is tight, this can affect the lumbar because the lumbar will take over some of the things that the upper back is supposed to be doing. So all of the thoracic releases and twists that we do are really designed, many things, but among other things, one of the most important things they do is release the upper back. Come on back so the lumbar spine doesn't have to take over for the upper back. Switch sides, everybody. This time the right hand is on the left knee, left hand behind you, and with hands in a spider. Rotate as far as you can go. And then start to breathe. And when you can maintain your spine twist, then start to slide the rib cage up side to side. And slowly come on back. Come up into a chair seated. What we're going to work on here in the chair, the first thing we're going to work on is a figure 4 flat back hip hinge. So this is also to separate or isolate the movement of the spine from the movement of the pelvis. So you are not going to move the pelvis. All you're going to move is, think of the spine as a broomstick, and you're moving at the hip, at the head of the femur, and you're moving forward from there. Hip hinge, flat back hip hinge. So, oh yeah, let's cross over first. Let's do that first. So, sorry, I forgot about that. I got excited about hip hinge. You can do the hip hinge, flat back hip hinge, without crossing your legs, but it gives you a bonus when you've crossed your legs because you've already opened up your hips. Cross over. And now from here, flat back hip hinge. Come as far forward as you can. Open your chest, keep your chest open. Keep your head is kind of like a head ramping position. And then just staying here. And breathing, and see if you can lift your chest just a little bit more, Kathy. Lift your head, your chest. Okay, now you can drop your chin a bit. So the idea is to think of your spine all the way up to the top of the spine. See one as a broomstick. And then just go ahead and you can use your hands to push yourself back up. Use your abdominals too. Push yourself back up to straight, flat back. Hip hinge with a figure 4. Switch sides. Flat back hip hinge. This is a way of creating traction, actually, for the lower back. This should feel really good on the lower back if you're doing it right. If you're rounding at the lumbar spine, not so much. This has to be purely flat, flat hip hinge, flat back hip hinge. And then go ahead and bring yourself back up to seated. Come up to standing. We're going to balance on one foot, just so you know that balancing or creating this can't, anytime you're working on posture or balance, you're actually helping with the lower back. So standing in good posture, stacking ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, ears, and then just lift the right leg, bend it full in front of you. And we're gonna time. You need to have a chair or a wall for a safe spot, safety point. We're gonna stay here for 40 seconds. Come out of it if you need to and get back into it. Breathing. This is easy. This is effortless. Switch sides. Standing tall, balancing unless you need a safe point to touch. Now, you know this is also bone building for the femur, for the hip, the bones at the in the pelvis, the acetabulum, which is the socket in the pelvis, and for the femur, the head of the femur. Yay. Come on out of that. Before we do anything else, I'd like you to do a squat. Can you demonstrate a squat coming off of a shelf or the back of your chair? Something stable. So what I want you to do is find a place with a chair or a shelf or a counter, and then squatting down from it. So straighten your arms, Kathy, and your knees are going to stay as much as you can. Your knees are going to stay right over the ankles. Now, if you like to, you can just do a regular squat. But I like this squat. I like a supported squat. Nice. It really, and you can stay. You can spend some time down here. And then when you come back up, use your abdominals and your glutes to come back up. And then just drop back down. So this is another one that creates some strength in the lower back and is a flat back. You know, this is a flat back hip pose too, and it is core work because you're using your abdominals to bring yourself down and especially bring yourself back. One more. And come on back and find your way onto the floor. We didn't get to do everything. And even the back extensions that we usually do on the wall and on the floor are building strength in the upper back so the lumbar doesn't have to do the work. However, we just didn't get to them. Find your way onto your back for Yoga Nidra. I wanted to remind you before, and I'll remind you again, but in case I don't remember to remind you again, that starting next week for a while, I am, my class, I'm going to only teach 2 classes a week, Wednesday and Saturday at 11:30. I realize now that I'm going to have to send out a notice about this before Monday because a lot of people didn't show up at this class and will not hear about it if I just send it the day before Wednesday. So I'll send out something today or tomorrow about it. Oh, what's today? Yeah, about it. And it'll be separate. It won't be a class notice. It'll be a schedule change notice. Go ahead and find your way onto your back, comfortable, warm, and starting to pay attention to your breath. Breathing in and out. Observing your abdomen as it rises and falls. And now bring your awareness and your attention to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, knee, ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. This completes your 61-point guided Yoga Nidra meditation. Go ahead and go ahead and start to wiggle and stretch. Extend your legs along the mat, extend your arms overhead. Right side, left side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. Hug your right knee to your chest. And then your left. and rock from side to side. And then whenever you're ready, just roll over onto one side, using your bottom arm as a pillow, using your top arm as a helper to get you up to seated without rounding your back. I'm going to remove the spotlight. Please unmute yourself, everybody. I'm going to change my view to gallery view. And go ahead and put your hands into your face. Lift your skull with the back of your occipital ridge up at the ceiling, so that you can roll or rock and roll forward, nodding the head, bowing. Put the weights in each of us. And we will close the class by saying to each other, namaste.
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 Thank you, everybody. Stick around for a minute. I wanted to say one other thing about this new 2-class schedule. What I really want to encourage you to do is have a third class, video class, so that you have 2 classes live and 1 class video, and then make a comment in the videos, or even tell us your own experience of the video. Kathleen, where did she go? There she is. Kathleen is making a list of videos that she watches with notes about the thing, the things they focus on and the things she's going to make that available to us, and other people can add to that. So if you can do 2 live classes with me and 1 video, I would really like that. How are you doing, Caitlin? A little report, please.
Yeah, Caitlin, how you doing?
Oh, been better.
Mhm.
Today it's kind of crazy. And limited movement. But I can walk.
So
Slowly.
how did you do that? How do you hurt your hamstring?
Well, it's funny now. So on Sunday morning, my daughter, my 13-year-old, and I were trying to do a workout. She always invites me to join her, which is funny because she can do everything and I can do not as much. But the dog decided to sit right in the middle of where we were trying to work out. So I was trying to get him to move, but he wouldn't move. So I went to go get a blanket to kind of wrap around him and scoot him out of the way. My foot got caught in the blanket and I ended up doing splits.
Oh,
Which is very unintentional, of course, and also very painful.
wow.
And so, yeah, just basically splits. And then I couldn't move on the ground. I couldn't even get up to hop to the car. So we ended up having to call an ambulance to take me to the hospital because they had to put me on a stretcher, thing or whatever. So that was
I'm
Sunday.
sorry that happened.
Yeah. It's scary.